And we're back. Brett, you're up next.
Excellent.
Brett, you and your team had a huge year in 2020, closing a mind-blowing 692 loans. Where does the bulk of your business come from, and what are you doing to maintain these levels?
Yeah, so 2020 was awesome. Feel very blessed, and I'd say most of our business honestly came from our partners. So our real estate partners, our builder partners, and our past clients.
Okay.
So for a lot of it is just really, as goofy as it sounds, just taking care of them. So having their financials at heart, helping to follow up. I found a lot of times too, people don't know a lot about finance. In America, we don't talk a ton about finance. So finding the right ways to connect with them, help educate them, definitely around the loan, but even just finance in general has really helped to connect that bond for us. So that's been a huge goal of ours, and it's turned out to be very successful. And same way even with our agent partners. So hey, what can we do to potentially help your business as well? Yeah. So I think sometimes in our industry, it seems like a one-way road, which is never great for any relationship. So what can we do for our clients? What can they do for us? Or what can we do for our partners? What can they do back for us? And that's really helped us to build some great relationships over the years.
That's amazing. I love that answer. 692 loans is a lot for anyone. The question I would have for you, was that a huge increase from, say, 2019, or was that kind of...
It was a big increase. I think 2019 was about 375 units.
Wow, okay.
So definitely a big jump.
Right on.
Yep.
Was that something that you had to staff up for, or did you find that your team was just capable of handling that much of an increase?
It was definitely a staff up. Okay. So quite honestly, I think that was part that helped us. I mean, definitely 2020 was an interesting year for our business where a lot of stars did align.
Sure.
But I do think in hindsight, I've joined a couple of coaching programs of, hey, build it and they will come. Okay. So it's like, okay, sometimes we limit ourselves, or they say a fish will grow to the size of its bowl. Okay. So by us to say, okay, hey, believe in yourself, go ahead and hire the staff, which frees us up. So, sure. I got pushed by my coach to do that, and it was just hire, and then it was, okay, bring more deals in. So that's been something that's definitely maybe a little bit counterintuitive of how once we're busy, we'll hire, and vice versa, we'll hire, then we become busy.
I never hear that. That's awesome. So your coach was saying this to you?
Correct.
Interesting. And so was your boss okay with that? I mean,
luckily for me, I have a great relationship with our CEO, and he kind of says, hey, Brett, you get to run the region, and as always, you always got to look at the numbers at some point, but I get a lot of leniency to say, okay, hey, here's the direction I'm going in, let's, put this together and see how things pan out.
I love that. Yeah. Something else that I noticed, so I was just at your office, obviously, just a few weeks ago. Everyone seems so chill. So Nick, we obviously had a chance to connect, but then the first thing he did was like, allow me to show you around, and started introducing me to everybody on the team. Everyone just seemed almost as if they were in their home, relaxing. Like, hold on a second. Hey, Jeremy, how's it going? Did you create that culture, or are you looking for people who are just that laid back? Kind of walk me through your hiring process, and how are you able to accomplish that dynamic?
Great question. So I look back earlier in my career, and something I did not do a good job on was not focusing on someone's personality. Okay. So I realized, okay, hey, if we're a team, we definitely got to work together. So that was the number one goal for me is, honestly, it's okay if you don't have mortgage experience, but if you're the right person, you have the right ethics, you fit well with the team, that's the hire we're going to make. So I definitely have switched how I hire now to almost everyone I've hired in the last year has been green to the industry. Okay. But, they're eager, they want to learn, they have the right culture fit. Sure. We've changed how we interview too. So it's definitely not just Brett anymore. Yeah. It's a lot more on the team to say, okay, hey, if I love the guy, but the team doesn't love him, it's not the right fit. So I realized, okay, hey, even being the boss, if I try to just pull the boss card, it's not going to be the right fit. The team, they won't get along with each other. So we've really switched that up. And then I think the other thing that's helped a lot too is from like a training perspective, we have a lot of the team now that's training each other. And even without directly being directed from me on that, it's just, hey, people are getting along so well, they want to help each other succeed. So they're working pretty tight together now, which has been a
Brett, how about new loan officers?
Yep. So really for us is on the new loan officer side, I will rarely hire a new loan officer and just give them the computer and the card versus saying, hey, I want you to work on the team first. And one other piece, again, pushed by my coach that I've changed is for any role you have, you get a start in setup. And then you get to do a little stint in processing. Then you got to do a little stint as an LOA. And then you become this. So I've realized in a lot of our industries, folks they might get put in the sales role, but they don't know how the back end works.
Right.
And not only does that not help them as a salesperson, but also just connecting with the client or their own understanding. So I remember Dad made me do that too. Hey, you start as copy boy and you go through the ranks. But a lot of it was then you really understand how the industry works. So as you're talking to a client or an agent partner, you can help them to advise, not just on the front, but throughout the transaction.
That's fantastic. I love that. I think that's a great idea, and I've never really heard that before. That's fantastic. Usually, when people jump into a situation as being an LO, I've been an LO for 6 years in past life. That definitely was not the case. It was like, Jeremy, you can talk. Yeah. You dress nice. Let's give him a nice office and start doing loans.
Totally, yeah. So just a little bit of a different structure, but I think people appreciate it. You know, they learn better. Yeah. But the other big piece for us is, you know, how do you have a long-term employee? Sure. So if you take these guys that are green, say, I'm going to invest the time in you up front, you know, and then they reward you back with the loyalty. So that's been another great thing from a long-term standpoint. I think one thing that, you know, my dad and I are proud of is our main underwriter, Jennifer. She's worked with us for 35 years, so literally as long as I've been alive, which is pretty cool. So, and she, same thing, started as front desk gal, and now she's our head underwriter, which is cool.
Fantastic. How long have you been in the business? You still look young, so, but how long?
I started 2005.
2005, okay,
Yep.
so long time then.
Yep.
Excellent. Right on.
Great.
Are you as successful as you thought that you would be, or is it the other way around? Like, are you kind of mind blown that you're able to pump out 692 loans in a year?
This year, I honestly was amazed. So it's like, you know, I always believed in myself, and, you know, it was great to, you know, do some big numbers before, but it was really cool to see, you know, invest in the team, invest in getting new staff, and I definitely would have not guessed to do that. I remember I always had a little sign in my office that said 200 million, and it was kind of seemed like that's never doable. Yeah. And this year we did like 265. Good. So it was really a cool thing to accomplish, and I think the team to see, hey guys, even if the goals seem, you know, way out there, you can do it if you want.
Wow, fantastic. Do you guys have any questions?
How many loan officers do you have?
So just myself, and then I'll have a bunch of assistants, of course.
Yes.
But it's just so it's our team's about 15 folks now.
Okay.
So I'm the LO, and then I have 4. I call them like a loan partner, but basically like an
Junior LOs.
kind of an LOA, but an assistant role. And then we have 6 processors, an underwriter, and a team captain that kind of helps with the underwriting and the operations.
So you have in-house, everything's in-house.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, awesome.
How fast can you close a loan?
Number one question. So, I mean, honestly, I'd say most of our stuff, you know, it naturally is 30 days. Just that's what the contracts we get in. But we just had when we closed, I think it was 14 days.
Nice.
So, just depends. We have some portfolio loans we can fund. I had a client wanting to buy a flip home, and it was definitely not a normal transaction where there's literally still a tree through the roof. So it was like just a director's portfolio deal. It was like a 7-day close. So I have some unique stuff when we need to make that happen. But, you know, most contracts I see come across are somewhere between 3 and 4 weeks.
Excellent. Excellent.
So
Very nice.
I wanted to just go back to what you were talking about, build it and they will come.
Sure.
It's an interesting mindset. John Maxwell's irrefutable laws of leadership, the law of the lid, right? If we take that lid off, then we can just go anywhere. And
Sure.
it's about having that mindset of believing, and it's like, okay, I'm just going to lift this lid off and see where I can go. So I did that with my business too, and it's just, and once you change your mindset, you can just go anywhere. And then just one last comment on your team. I am very particular about who I add to my team because we have such a dynamic team, and we can teach you how to stage, we can teach you how to do logistics, but you've got to fit in with my team. I call them elite group of people that are with me, and I'm very particular about who I add to my team. So
we've always said too, people like to do business with who they know, like, and trust.
Right.
So it's like, hey, if they potentially like me, but my staff doesn't operate the same way, it's hard, you know.
Right.
Or if the staff among themselves don't operate that way, it's just even tougher to have clients or agent partners connect with the team if we don't think and act the same way.
Sure.
So that's been a big piece that's helped out.
Yeah, and that was evident walking in. Like, everyone seemed incredibly relaxed and chill and not uptight whatsoever, which is always nice. Because sometimes in some offices you kind of have that vibe. Sure. But everyone seemed very, very relaxed and was able to take their attention off of whatever they were doing to. I don't even think they even realized who they or why they were even saying hi to me. But hi anyways. So that's great.
I know we kind of touched on this a little bit out there, but when it comes to working with an experienced broker, like we've all been in business for a while, we've known a lot of lenders. I'm interested in knowing what's your follow-up and system for keeping in touch with the people the leads that we send over.
Sure.
How do you handle if you get just tons, like we have, we'll send tons of leads over to our lenders, and sometimes they'll fall through the cracks, or, what happened to this person, and 6 months later, they're using somebody else as a broker too. So.
Sure. No, and that's a big one. So on our team, it's speed to lead. So it's like, guys, for like my LP1 roles, the assistants, there's one thing that's important: call the leads. And I go, hey guys, even if I tell you to work up an estimate or send a pre-approval letter, calling your leads is more important first. So that's just a big one for us. And I say, hey, we really got to make sure, because at the end of the day, we want to show our partners we care, and our clients, of course. But secondly, this is our partner's commission. This is their lifestyle too. Right. So it's like, hey, we're not just having a client here. This is our partner's potentially livelihoods. We really want to show that. So I mean, it sounds very basic, but it's just every single morning, my basic assistant prints out a lead sheet for every single loan officer or LP1 on the team, and they just simply say, okay, here's where they are. And then I sit down with them and literally just do a review daily. Say, okay, cool, we called John yesterday. Where's he at? Do I need to follow up? What's going on? So it takes a little bit of time, but I've realized leads are the number one thing. You know, my coach now, his number one thing he says is, today's leads is the best representation of tomorrow's closings. Mm-hmm. So it's like, hey, if we don't focus on our leads or track our leads, we're not magically just going to close loans.
Right.
So what's in your pipeline? And that's we do the same thing where it's a ABC, which is 60 or 30, 60, 90. That's when you get your next paycheck, and it's a time clock basically. So you're tracking when you're going to get paid next, really.
Exactly, yeah. So then a lot of that's come down to just very basic, simple steps of, you know, you guys kind of alluded to of just, you know, enjoying the grind the same day, make our calls, do our pieces. So I'm a pretty routine guy. You know, a lot of people joke about my stuff, like breakfast, same time, same food, same everything every day. But it works well for me. So it's like that's something I breathe into the team of, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to come in, we'll do our team meeting, some role playing, then we're going to do our leads. It's like no matter what happens, what fires there are, we have other people to take care of that. Here's what we're going to work on. And I think that's been something we've done a much better job the last couple of years on, and seeing some good results from that.
Excellent. Phenomenal. Great job.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Are you doing the core?
I am.
It sounded like it. Yeah.
And that's been a big thing for us. So I joined 2 years ago.
Okay.
And definitely seen
You
a
love
huge
it?
difference in the business.
Yeah, I've heard great things about it.
Yeah. No, it's a great community where there's lots of sharing. Mm-hmm. You know, I was blown away to see how open people were to share everything they've ever made or done for us.
Yeah.
And then just having someone to push you. And I think about it like, you know, we talked about this a lot in life of, you know, as you grow up, you have a teacher. Or you got your parents. Yeah. Then you go to college, you got, you know, professors. Then you go to the gym, you got trainers. But then all of a sudden you get business school. Okay, you're on your own. Yeah. Which is interesting, right? It's like you've always had someone to be there to encourage you, to push you. So it's like, it makes perfect sense when you think about it that way. So it's like, you know, I never really thought about it that way. But adding that in was a great way of just having somebody else from an outside lens looking at you and say, hey, here's really what we want you to focus on. Or even as you get through a weird time like COVID, don't worry, we're going to be fine. Here's what we're doing to adapt, and just have someone to connect with. Yeah.
I think coaching is one of the most, I respect people that take coaching, and I do coaching myself, and people that are in my coaching program, I feel so comfortable referring them business, you know, out of state and whatnot. If they're going to invest into their business and spend the time and the money to do that, I totally am confident they'll take care of our clients too.
Most definitely, yeah.
Wonderful stuff. That's why we do this, folks. Great information. Great information. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Well, no other questions? Okay, moving on. Molly, you're up next.
Hi.
Hello. Molly, you and your...
waiting.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get to you. You and your team closed a total of 57 transactions in 2020 with just a few agents. Now you have a total of 6 agents in production, another 5 training, with a goal of closing 152 units in 2021. What are you and your team doing this year that you didn't do last year that's going to allow you to experience a 300 increase in volume?
We're giving them a lot of Red Bull to get them going. No, I'm kidding. No, just to be fair, last year was really the first year that we've been in production as a team for the entire year. And I spent a lot of the time, I did 80% of the production for the year. And there was, again, a couple other agents. There was a couple that were in and out. And I spent a lot of my time preparing to be launching this year, right? So now we're in production. It's going to be flipped. They're going to do 80% of the production. I'll do the 20 while I'm managing the business and growing. So that's really what we're focusing on, as well as the training. We have mentorship programs that we've launched as well. So some of the, you know, senior agents are now mentoring the new ones. So they have 5 people per person that they're all mentoring. So I'm not spending all that time. And so it's starting to function very well. Okay. A lot of systems, a lot of support, and finding talent and recognizing the right talent for the right position too has been really something I wasn't great at in the beginning. Yeah. And now I'm starting to see how important it is. You don't just want to hire any agent because you like them, or they're at your brokerage, or they're cute, or whatever it is.
It doesn't go well.
No. So I really want to be working with people, again, like a lot of you guys, long-term relationships. I want to build a very strong team that we work together, we stay together, and I always want to be growing big enough that they'll never outgrow my organization. So I want to grow with them.
That's fantastic. Now, is that something that's coming down from been Kenny, or is that something that you sort of worked internally? Meaning,
It's Keller Williams. They force you. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. I'm totally kidding. No, it's something that's naturally happened because I've been in real estate for about 10 years now. And over time, you get so busy. I have horses, I have a life, I have things that I love to travel. I want to spend time, and I go, I have all these great things and all this money, but I want to be able to spend time with my family and enjoy these things that I've, accomplished. Like, I want to do that. How can I leverage the business that I have and be sane and help other people get, there's a lot of new agents out there that really do need the help and would be great to take care of my clients. And it happens naturally because you have showing assistants, right? You get busy, you have 10 people want to see a house on a Saturday and there's one of you.
Yeah.
So you start sending people out and you go, wait a second. Or you have open houses, you have 10 open houses and you go, I just lost 75 clients in the last 2 months because I don't have a team to support it, to track. I'm giving them out to anybody, right? And they're taking your brand down too if they're not taking great care of the people that walk through the door and your name's on the sign. So that's kind of how it started to happen.
That's amazing. Here's a sort of a side question I had to ask you. And I want to ask you personally, but I figured we'd do it on camera. It might be a little fun. Is how did you get into owning horses? I think that's so cool.
Well, I grew up with them. My parents have always had them. My mom actually professionally shoots guns off her horses. So she travels around. It's a sport. So they live very close to me. I bought a house very close to them. I'm right by the pipeline. I just have always had horses. And
That's phenomenal.
I don't know. I'm crazy.
That photo
I just
that
wanna
you sent me,
collect
I'm like, she's actually looking at horses from your...
yeah, they're right outside. I'm like, shut up out there. No, I'm kidding. They're great. But it's a commitment, and you have to buy the right property, and you have to build the fences and maintain and all that stuff. But I love it, and there's a reason why I do it. So
Sure. So here's a question on the leadership model. Is that something that you sort of developed? I'm interested in learning like how you actually came up with that process of, okay, I want to identify future leaders who could then start leading right now while I'm still leading them.
fail forward. No. While we're working together, right? We're all cultural fit over time, especially when we start to work together longer term. And I recognize the strengths in certain people, and I also evaluate their goals based on our conversations. I know what they want to do.
Yeah.
There's a few agents that have been, they're busting their butts, and they're like, hey, how do I do this? How do I get bigger? And, in their mind, especially if you're in a Keller Williams world, they think they need to start a team. I go, wait a second. I'd like to make you as much money as you can imagine. Let me show you how you can do it together.
Interesting. I love that. And that actually brings up a whole nother series of questions, but how do you handle the ego? Because within KW especially, it's out
Their
there.
ego?
Yeah, their ego.
I'm the coolest, so it doesn't matter. Just kidding.
No, I mean in terms
I
of,
just
okay.
put my name on all their stuff, and they don't,
So here you are, you're an agent, you're struggling, you're very, very happy to be a part of a team, your team, very successful. And then they have a few deals under their belt. They make $60,000 in a month or two. And so how do you still keep their ego or keep the interest of, it's better for me to be a part of a team versus go start my own thing?
We've developed it over time, and I've actually had agents do exactly that. They'll come onto the team, they'll close a couple deals, and they go, well, it's too expensive. And I go, you'll be back, watch. Because it's hard to do it on your own as a new agent right now. It's extremely tough. We give them the tools, the training. We also give them leads. We help them close the leads that they bring in as well, because they're not going to get a listing as a brand new agent from, Medina or Bellevue or whatnot. They're going to be competing just like all of us are. And so we're helping them close everything.
Excellent.
They won't be able to do it without us.
So are you done growing, or are you currently looking
No,
for
we're
additional-
always growing.
Always growing, okay.
We are going to be expanding outside of our market center fairly soon, and probably outside of the state.
Oh.
We're always going to continue to grow. That's the model that we're on right now. So
Interesting.
send them my way.
Well, since we're here, who are you looking for? Is there a certain
People
background,
that like to
pedigree?
work really hard.
Okay.
It's not easy. We want people that are going to show up every day to work. They're going to, it's really, we have standards that we have set. We go, here they are. We're very, very clear on what it is. Here's where you need to show up. Here's how you need to be to become this person. It's not rocket science. Real estate is the same thing. It's changed slightly with some, technology, but it's very repetitive. Do these things, you'll be a success. If you don't do these things, you might not. You might have a few deals that come and fall into your lap, and that's awesome. But over time, to be a successful real estate agent in this market, especially as a new agent, you have to work hard. So We want people that are going to do it.
Yeah, I always just say, if you care about people and you do the right thing, the money comes. You know, for me, it's seriously not about the money. It's about helping people and then the luxury of getting paid. And it is hard to get agents and it is hard to keep them, but you open up the roof and you just keep going. And we all would love new agents, myself included, but you know what a good fit is, and then you have to be a good fit for them as well.
Right. I actually tend to find a lot of new agents that are not in real estate yet. At the gym, my neighbors, like I have one of my neighbors just started joining my team last week.
That's cool.
So you find people anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And just being open in conversation and figuring out who they are. And you start to, when you're talking to somebody and they have that magnetic personality, you go, wait a second. Do you want to come meet me at my office sometime and talk about real estate?
Right.
Everybody wants to.
Sure.
They love it.
Sure.
Why not?
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. Excellent. Do you guys have any other questions for her?
How are you doing? Same thing for Margo. How are you guys going out and getting your business and training those people underneath you, giving them leads? Are you doing Zillow? Are you?
Yeah, we do a little bit. We do a little bit of everything. So we're training them to bring in business on their own. So they have to prospect, door knock, phone calls, open houses.
That's
We're teaching them how and when to speak to their sphere. They have to have
That's
all their
super
contacts.
important.
And what to say.
Yeah.
And to market correctly to make themselves, look great online and how we do it. So they're bringing it in. We're giving them some. It's kind of a 50-50. You bring a lead, we give you a lead, show you how to close both of them. So that's mostly how we do it, yeah.
And how do you prevent overlapping territories? Do they have a specific market that they're?
For the agents?
Yeah.
We do most of it. If we're giving them leads, it's on a round robin. And then other than that, if it's their own lead, then yeah, it's pretty easy.
I think door knocking's incredible, and it's something that kind of went away.
It's back. We're doing it too. It's just, you have to teach people to fish. You can't just hand them the fish. I used to give leads. I used to spend a lot of money on certain things, and people don't appreciate it. They don't mean to not appreciate it, but they don't. And so they need to know that this is a great career. It's very fulfilling. It opens up a lot of doors, and you can have free time. But it's not easy. It just doesn't, you don't just come in and you close 10 deals. You have to work for it.
Yeah.
Right. It's not just walk in, get your real estate license, and here you go. Open the door and you're good. We really want to focus on elevating the real estate process and being a great agent. Dress a certain way, talk a certain way, make sure your car looks great. It's not just show up and wear your sweatpants or whatever you got going on, but
Sure.
we want to make sure they're doing a very, very good job because we have a specific brand that we want to portray, and as well as we're going to do, work for anybody else at our office and represent anybody else, we want to do a great job for them too and our clients.
Makes sense. I love it. Well, that's amazing. Great job.
So, quick question for you. So, if you were to go back to yourself 5 years ago, would you tell yourself, "Hey, let's start the team now," or do you think that was important to have, your own stuff for a while?
I wish I did it sooner.
Yeah.
I wish I did because I had so much business at that time. I was just overflowing with business, and I could have done it, but I was scared. Making an action like that requires a certain amount of commitment, and for me to do something, I want to do it. I want to do it all the way, and I was just, oh my gosh, how do I do this? I'm so busy. How can I do it? I want to do it right too, right? Everybody wants to do something right the first time, but you never do. So yeah, I do wish I would have started sooner.
Yeah, I know my coach's other line. I love them. He says, "A good plan today is better than a great plan tomorrow."
Yep.
In the sense of sometimes you just got to implement,
Action.
and it's hard, but
love the action.
just take it out.
Yep, that's my line. I'm an action person. I'd rather make some sort of an action, even if it's the wrong thing. You are that much closer to finding the right thing because you already did it wrong.
Yep.
There you go. Might as well. What's going to happen?
Excellent. Right on. Well, Chris, you're up next.
Here I am.
Chris, you're a senior mortgage banker with PNC Bank and an absolute legend in the mortgage industry, closing over $80 million in personal production last year alone without breaking a sweat.
I've had some hard issues because got to close those deals on time.
There you go.
And you said senior. Was that because of my hair or my gray and my beard? It's been an incredible year. It was my best year ever. Couldn't have been more fantastic. I do have a great team. I have an assistant and a processor. And to top it off, great rates. And that was something I've been in search for 32 years, is being able to offer the best rate in town. And so I don't have to have that fear of losing, and when I am in competition, because all of your clients are always going to be shopping. And so for me, it was trying to find the bank that had great rates. And I'm taking a little bit less money, but I'm confident when I'm talking to the customer. And as Brett does, I go through kind of a checklist of the things that we're asking our clients. How long are you going to live there? You know, why do you want a 30-year fixed? If you're only going to be there 5 years, why not go with a 5-1 or a 7-1? And so over the many years, I've been on the wholesale level and I've been on the retail level. Started back in '88 in retail, switched over to the wholesale side of things, and I got to know the business and a heck of a lot of people in the industry. And so last year, how I was able to double the business was because I know Margo's significant other, David, and David's an awesome loan officer, and we've been friends for a long time. And there's occasions where Dave will have a jumbo deal, and our PNC jumbo rates are awesome. And same thing on the flip side. VA loans we don't do very well, so I've handed Dave a couple of VA loans.
And this is where people need to understand in our business, we do love people and we are about serving people, and sometimes people get it wrong, but this is one of the guys that gets it right. So
we try, and it's incredible because I am a people person and I love doing things together, especially drinking my fine red wine, which hopefully we'll be able to do tomorrow night.
yes, we
It's I love my business, and whether it's early in the morning, late at night. One of my clients texted me at 5:30. I texted him right back. He goes, "Hey, I love that we're on the same page together." I said, "Money never sleeps." One of my favorite quotes. Wall Street, right? I mean, money never sleeps. So
He's gonna steal that now.
yeah, it's I've always been a hard worker. I've always been very personable. I've always been successful in my business. I've always strive to be number one at every company I'm at. But I'm with a group of individuals within our Bellevue location. They're just crushing numbers. And I don't want to be that person anymore. So I work hard, play hard. I'm out golfing a lot of the time, but I've always got my phone with me. I'm always getting back to my realtor partners, my clients. You text me, I'm texting you right back. Whether, I had a client on a Saturday night, 11 p.m. I was just getting ready for bed. They called, I picked up the phone. They said, "Oh, I was going to leave you a voicemail." And I said, "No, it's okay. I'm here. I'm here for you, and you've got an important question for me. And I'm gonna take that question now, and whether it's Saturday morning at 8 or it's Sunday night at 5 p.m., family's super important, number one, but so are my clients and my partners. And so, as you said, Molly, it's important that you engage, and with leads, you send over a lead, that person's getting called right away. I mean, that you got to take care of the customer and take care of your partners as well, because every step of the way, we have like 13 touch points where we're getting in touch with you guys, letting you know every step of the way. Hey, I just took the application. Hey, the disclosures just went out. Hey, the appraisal just got ordered. Be on the lookout, right? One of the questions that I had that I forgot to ask is, how are you guys doing with appraisals, right, for the realtors here?
Doesn't matter anymore.
Past,
They waive
no,
it.
Right.
it matters. Past couple
280.
weeks, there's been some low appraisals, but I've seen this coming. I mean, what comes up will come down.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, we're squeezed in like this. That can't stay.
Yeah, I mean, I had a client, one of my pre-approvals, looking for 2.2 in Kirkland, just made an offer after learning, after 4 or 5 offers, that I said, "You're going to have to step it up. If you really want the house, you got to go get it." So he went $500,000 over the listing
my
price.
God.
Did not get it. It went for 3.1.
I'm sorry. That's over the top.
900,000 over ask. There's some crazy money out there. But so, going back to your question, doing the big full circle, is I was successful this past year just because not only did I have my own sphere of influence, and being in the business 32 years, I can do loans in 50 states. So I've got friends all over Facebook, LinkedIn, know that I have great rates. So if they've got a jumbo deal, they're coming to me and asking, "Hey, what can you do? Let me see if I can refer that client to you." And it's super important because of everybody shopping and wanting to get the best rate. We do a lot of Amazon business and Google and Microsoft because we'll do RSU income and use that.
You will.
Oh yeah, which is
That's good
super
to know.
important. Not every lender out in town
they
can do
don't.
that. So we get a lot of that business because we can utilize as income up front. And, that's super important in today's business, is making sure someone can qualify. And you want to, deal with someone that's got the experience like Brett or I, because, you try those new loan officers maybe over to Bank of America or Wells Fargo, and they don't know what they're doing. All of a sudden you got a client that's waived their financing and find out 5 days before, hey, you don't got a loan. That's going to be tough.
Not a good day.
No, not a very good
Not for
day.
someone, no.
Not a good day. Well, Chris, another big question I want to ask you is, right from the get-go, after our initial conversation, and I've known you for a couple of years, is you immediately started referring me to other loan officers I should have on the show, and that sort of specialize in different things. And I just thought that was so cool that you take a real abundance approach to your business. To where, look, Jeremy, I appreciate you asking me, and yes, I'd love to be on your show, but you should also have these people, which would almost be like your competitors. And you said nothing but wonderful things about them, and they had nothing but wonderful things to say about you. When did that start for you?
Gosh, I mean, I've been all over the board in our business. I've been ahead of a production team. I've ran, 12 different branches for a company, and it's all people.
Yeah.
Right. And if I like someone, I'm going to go out of my way to assist and help. And for us, Margo's significant other, David Haley, he's one of my good buddies.
Yeah.
And
Great guy.
I trust him.
Yeah.
And I know, because I was in the wholesale side of the business, I used to call on all these people. And Brett has his own money, so I never really called on Brett and his dad. But it is true. I mean, I met so many people on the wholesale side of the business and became friends. And I've got 3,500 people on Facebook probably, which is crazy amount of people. But my thing is every day when it's their birthday, I go through and I'll go to each one of them and just wish them a happy birthday. And it's just kind of my way of staying in front of people, right? Because I have friends, down in LA where I went to school and college over at Gonzaga and Spokane. I mean, I've got friends all over the United States. And the one thing is, oh, hey, by the way, what's your rate, right? I mean, what rate are you at today? Maybe we could save you some money.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing on when people build that trust, you can, they can count on me and I can count on them. And then all of a sudden that one person, hey, do you have anybody that, that needs to sell a house? Because I want to try and, not only you're giving me business, I want to try and give it back to you as well. Oh, and any other friends that you can refer me to that have a higher rate, 4% rate. And it's amazing how some people today still are paying over 4% on a home loan rate. I just had one the other day, 4.625, got them down under 3%.
They don't know.
It's amazing on how many people out there today. But again, that sphere of influence and knowing all these people in this industry, I care for all my friends that I know in the mortgage business, and so if I can scratch their back, they can scratch mine. It's all fair game.
I love it, Chris.
Yeah.
I love it. Do you guys have any questions?
How about that Zags game? Sorry.
I had a question actually that you prompted for the agents. So like in the example of the $2.2 million house that ends up going for 3.1, I feel like we're seeing, escalation makes sense to a point, but I feel like we see a lot of agents maybe, is it intentionally pricing the home way lower to get that, or
Right.
they're just miles off? Because, when we're 900,000 off, it seems like,
That's
is that
huge.
really a 900,000 escalation, or is
Sure.
that not the right listing price up front? So, what's maybe your guys' take on that, or?
There's some people that play little tricks like that. I think you should always do fair market. I'll use the example of the Mount Lake Terrace one I sold that weekend that there was a snowstorm, 24 offers. Peers of mine calling and fighting, don't give it to him, I'm like, guys, come on. You guys can do better than this. But at the end of the day, it went 210 above list and it shouldn't have.
Yeah.
And there was nothing I could do about it. The seller found Dave in Tennessee, sister-in-law passed, so I got to work with them. And the charities were thrilled with $210,000.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Did I think it would do that? I didn't underprice it. $525 for like a tri-level in a cul-de-sac. It just needed new carpet and some paint. And who would have known? And in a snowstorm, people were driving in their trucks on top of each other. And we had, and it's like my son and I were scratching our head. They're like, my son's like, what's happening?
And some of those roads in Montlake Terrace, because our
Treacherous.
son, with
Yeah.
the hills and everything.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah. Or the condo that I sold in Greenwood, I priced it, no one wanted it, it was dark. So I looked at my clients and said, okay, here we go. We're going to do a contract. I'm going to put my money. I'm going to spiff it up. And we sold it the highest, like 412 2 months ago. In the whole, there was only like 10 units, but it's the highest sold one. It's like, let's just get to work and let's get it done. What do these people need?
Right.
And that's what you do for people, and that's what all of you do for people. It's been a pleasure to just listen to all your stories.
In some cases, the pendings aren't even closed yet. So if there's a listing, you know, it starts out at one price, and then you get all the offers, and then meanwhile, 2 weeks later, a couple homes in there sell and close, which gives them more comps, and then the neighbors see that, and then they list, and then it just keeps going up. So it's almost like the appraisals have
It's
to.
a snowball.
Yeah.
And they are a bit. I mean, I know there's appraisers that are like, this is enough because their license is at stake. And if they really, and I'm proud of them, if they truly don't think the value's there, I don't care who doesn't like it, they should do what the right thing is.
I think, to your point, it's worth what somebody's willing to pay for it right now. And people that are buying in this market are extremely competitive. They know what they're up against, especially if they've been, you know, working with it for a while. They will do anything that they have to do if it means pay, you know, $500,000. I saw a house today. It was $4.5 million list price. It went over 5.5, and that we were
Sounds
competing. We
about
didn't
right.
get it. So that's.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
there's people out there that will do anything to get it, and it doesn't matter if it's going to appraise or not because they've got the cash. So.
Well, and I think our local businesses, you know, Amazon's going crazy, you know, now having another building in Bellevue, and they've got several cranes there, you know, several offices going in, and people need to be in a certain location. And then if they can't afford it, then it just keeps going further and further out, where you've got homes in Snoqualmie, North Bend, you got people going to Everett, people going down south. I mean, it's just
We just lost one in Maple Valley. Not that there's anything wrong with Maple Valley, but I was like, what just happened? We lost it. That went to $1 million. We came in the nines, and I'm like, this is
Doesn't make
a whole
sense.
new ballgame.
Whole new
Yeah.
ballgame. So obviously none of us have a crystal ball, but how long do you think this is gonna last?
forever. We're in mini San Francisco.
We are.
Yeah.
I mean, I look back, and I lived in the Bay Area, and if I look back at San Francisco back in the late '90s, I mean, you had the dot-com bubble, and it was just cruising, and I mean, homes were going like crazy. But guess what? It continued, even though it might have slowed down, you know, and even through the dot-com crash, and then even through the lending crash that we had, you know, in 6 and 7 and 8 and 9. That market will never ever happen again. We have people that are solid, they make the money, and with the low inventory, I can't see this train stopping anytime soon. I think the demand is going to continue. I think we're going to see prices continue to go up, and I'm a guy with half full. My wife and kids will probably say no, he's the half empty guy, because there's always that fear, right? But it's the way the market's going today. I really think the only thing that can slow us down is rates another % higher, and I just don't see that today. I think we're going to wait till this whole COVID thing shakes out. We'll see what happens with the variant. We'll see, in the next 6 to 12 months how high interest rates go. If they continue to stay where they are, which hope so a little bit, I think we're just going to continue to see things appreciate 10 to 15% per year, maybe even more. And at some point in time, things will have to slow down. But I think the only way they can do it is by raising rates to a certain point where it just really hits. And I don't know, what do you think, Brett?
I mean, I think I look at a basic economics of supply and demand.
Right.
Yeah.
The only way price can move is supply and demand. So we look, okay, how could we get more supply? So eventually, I think as some of the forbearance ends, some of the rent control ends, there's definitely properties that probably should be sold or could be sold, but are stuck. But is that enough to giant impact to supply to swing it? Maybe a little bit, probably not huge. Other thing is, geographically, ocean, lakes, mountains, we don't have a lot of places to build. So I think, okay, could there be a way where, like in Arizona, unfortunately, look at 2008, they just built and built and built and built and built. They got massively overbuilt. I don't think that can happen in our region, so that helps. And then on the demand side is, okay, what would cause demand to drive down? Rates could do that to a point, but ultimately, if business is expanding, no matter what a home cost, even to the 80s, people paid 10, 12%. Now, that's different today, of course, but if people got to live here, they got to live here. So I think it would be good to see things slow somewhat for a little more healthy, sustainable growth, and maybe as COVID comes to an end, we see some of the forbearances and rent control go away, we'll see a little more inventory, but I'm personally not really concerned about seeing things go negative.
Nailed that. Good job. Thank you.
That's my take. I've probably only said that 500 times to clients. Should I buy today? Here's my take.
Wasn't expecting that, but right on.
Just steal that clip and show it to people.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, you can't tell people not to buy today, right? And
People
then-
need to buy homes. They're going
Right,
to
yeah.
buy them and sell them, regardless. The COVID might have stopped a few people. I have clients that are like, where are we going to go? You know, and it's a great question. We could do a rent back only so far back, right?
Sure,
But
sure.
I've noticed a couple homes like in East Madison where my clients were afraid to put an offer because we've lost like 3, and they didn't, and only 1 offer came in. I mean, I'm noticing that, but that doesn't mean anything's slowing down. It just means that there's been some, reserve with buyers, and maybe that one person got lucky that day. Maybe that was their 9th offer.
And it could have been. And the other thing that we've seen is, geographically with neighborhoods, I mean, sometimes you got to make that sacrifice. I mean, if you really want to buy, I mean, here or needs a little fixing up, right? Sometimes I like brand new myself.
Me too.
But it's one of those things where you get some handy people, and or if they've got money, all of a sudden they can go into a home and make it their own, right? By just remodeling.
So for you agents, here's a question I have for you is, how do you handle when working with a buyer who's eager, they have money, they go in, they're just super excited to find a home, and they put 5, 7, 10 offers in, but nothing's accepted? How do you keep them motivated? Or is it just not even an option? Like they're just that headstrong to where they're going to find a home, and you're not really having to manage expectations too much?
It can go any way. We set the expectations up front now. Just like the people that just came from Florida, they were looking at me like, we just sold our house in Florida. What do you mean we have to do a pre-inspection? What do you mean? So what happened last week was my son took them out for a second viewing of a home in Maple Valley, and then they ordered a pre-inspection, and there were 3 other people fighting, like they're all there at the same time doing pre-inspections, and my clients are listening to the other buyers, like, what are we gonna do and stuff like that, and they completely like changed their terms and their thought immediately, and they told me, now we get it. So it's education. I made them read articles the other night. I said, I don't know if you believe me or not, but go here and here, and then you tell me tomorrow what you think. And so really, Molly, right, it's educating and putting it out there. And sometimes people, they get nervous, and you'll close a couple things and they get scared and they're like, we'll buy next year. I mean, I'm not going to push people to buy, but it can go any way with people. We just have to be upfront, tell them what to expect.
Yeah, similar. We're doing a lot of, we sit them down, we do a consultation. The first thing that we're going to do is sit them down and go, here are the homes that you're interested in. Let's pretend like show us 10 houses that you like online. They already have them marked on whatever website they have. Okay, great. Do you see how much that was listed for, how much it's sold for? And now we're showing them, these people are going to be competing against probably 25 or more people.
Right.
We can also show them in real time. We list homes all the time. I go, here's a offer comparison sheet with 25 offers on it, and here's what people are doing. We show them the extreme, the most risky that they could do, and we show them what people are doing with their being very conservative. Where do you want to be on this? And they have a choice where they want to be to compete, and if they really want to step it up. And sometimes that does take 3, 4, 5 offers, and they're getting beat down. And houses are just getting progressively more expensive, so they might as well just give it their all the first couple times. If they wait another 30 or 60 days, the house is going to go up $70,000.
And then they afford less house.
Well, and as the lender, we try to support you guys too, and having that conversation with them and keeping them coached on what their payments are going to be and where's the appraised value going to come in, because that's their loan to value.
That's good.
People forget
How
that the
much
listing
over?
price isn't a magical number. It's made up by a real estate agent.
Yeah.
Maybe they're experienced, maybe they're not. And the seller, between those two people, they go, here's what we want for the house. Well, I don't want to pay that much over list price. Well, list price doesn't really mean anything right now. So people have to realize what it looks like.
Big piece too is educating them on numbers. I found for a lot of people, like 50,000. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But when you dial it down, well, what's that actually different per month? And some people go, oh wow. I mean, in hindsight, I would have definitely paid $50,000 more.
Sure.
So some of the, as we mentioned,
love that,
expectation
yeah.
and
Like,
just
it's
education
$20.
of
every 10,000 is
Yeah.
$50.
You know,
Well,
We always tell everybody, you got to have your limits. We don't want you to get overextended, but know the tools you have at hand. So if I know I could go here, or at the end of the day, if you and wife are in the house and, hey, is this worth $200 more a month? Yeah, it is. Let's put our best foot forward.
I was listening to a call the other day because I'm taking that MREA class again. It's super interesting, and it made sense. So if you tell people you're going to go $75,000 above list price, they're like, but if you tell them it's 5% or 6% and you'll make it back next year, they're just like, I get it. Yeah.
Perspective. Absolutely. Well, guys, this has been amazing. I love this panel. Thank you so much for sharing your journey.
Was it your best panel?
Ever. Best panel ever. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much for watching. That's the end of the show.